Hello peeps, welcome to Sundays with Sparky, with me, Matt Sparks. Today is the last Sunday before Christmas, hooray! Unless you don't celebrate Christmas and then, doesn't matter, does it, really? Happy holidays instead, I guess, or whatever. So, let's start with games. What have I been playing this week? We'll go with games. What have I been playing this week? I've been playing a little bit of SimCity, not so much as I have been, and just trying to work out if I can actually do what I want to do without having to be online with other people and playing. And I figured out that you probably could, but it would take you a long time. So I'm probably not going to bother with the expansion. Just because it's not going to help. If you're playing SimCity on your own, it's very difficult to build the wonders for the region. So I'm probably not going to bother with that. What else? Played a little bit of Hearthstone. Put a video out, another big deck player. I need to get back into the habit of playing that regularly, so that I'm building up an accumulation of gold and stuff for doing arena runs and stuff like that. But enjoying the... was it the Winnerdin? Was it the Winnerdin? Yes, it was. It was the Winnerdin video. I've been playing that deck a bit more and just ranking up really quickly with it. It's really good. I didn't realise quite how strong it was at first. I played a few games with it before I made the video, just to kind of see if it worked, really. But it's actually really good, so I'm quite happy about that. But most of the time, I have been either trying to get it working and failing miserably because of servers being down and other various things going wrong with it. But I've managed to procure, if that's the correct word, or borrow, steal, obtain, one of those, you can pick whichever one you like, a access to Reaper of Souls, the Diablo 3 expansion, beta. And so I've been playing that. I've been leveling up a Crusader so that I can eventually get to Act 5 and be able to start showing you the new content, because if anyone's interested in Diablo 3, they've probably played it or at least seen a playthrough of it to the end of Act 4, which is what the current game has to offer at the moment. So I'd like to be able to level a Crusader up to a point where I can actually show you the content, or some of the content that's going to be available when the game releases in March, which is like 3 months away. So they've got ages yet, so they can make lots of changes. But I also want to kind of like highlight some of the changes that they're going to be doing and that they've made so far. It's a lot more fun than it had been before. I mean, I generally don't play melee classes in these kinds of games, so I was a bit unsure of whether I was going to enjoy playing the Crusader or not. But so far, I've been having a blast with it. So, I feel a bit like a badass playing that character. He's pretty cool indeed. Or she is, I should say. So lots of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. I haven't really watched many movies this week because I've been watching Yogscast live streams and watching them raise a ton of cash for charity. I do most of my movie watching in the evenings. So instead, I thought... Oh, actually, before we get to that, I have watched The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Yes, indeed. That was awesome. Really good. Better than the first one. But then, I think, with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the second one was better than the first one. And I can't wait to see the last one. I can't wait for the third one. But that's gonna be next year, so we've got a whole year to wait, unfortunately. But it was so good. It was so good. Really looking forward to seeing how it ends, because I haven't read the books, or book, I should say. So I don't know how it ends. So no spoilers in the comments. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm probably going to go and see it again because I really want to see the 48 frames per second version. Because I missed out on that last year, and I don't really want to miss out on it again because it's a whole new way of seeing the film. So I've seen it in 3D, just normal, and then I want to go back and see it in 48 frames at some point soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, so seeing as it's the end of the year and everyone's doing their like top games of the year and all this kind of stuff, I thought I'd be a bit different and do my top 5 films of the year. Now these are films that I've seen. I haven't seen every film. So for example, Anchorman 2's come out recently. I haven't seen Anchorman 2, so I can't include it into my top 5. Whether it would be in there or not, I don't know. Probably, if it's as funny as everyone's telling me it is. But I've not seen it, so I can't put it in. So if there's a film that you really like, I might not have seen it. But then there are a lot of films that I have seen, and I've got a list. I've got 7 films on the list, and I still haven't decided which order to put them in. So I don't know if I'm going to have an order as such. I'm not going to do a countdown. I'm just going to tell you the 5 films that I think were my favourite of the year. The ones that made me think, hooray, that was really good. Okay. Okay, first one was Prisoners. That's the first one in my top 5, Prisoners, with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, amongst others. That film was fantastic and totally not what I was expecting. I didn't really know anything about it before I went to see it, and I was pretty much blown away. I think sometimes you forget with all the Wolverine and X-Men stuff that Hugh Jackman can actually be a pretty good actor. I mean, I'm not really into the musicals, so I never saw Les Mis. But I haven't seen him in much else, so I've always forget that he's actually a good actor. And in Prisoners, it was just a really good, moody film. It was a bit hard going because it's pretty intense in places, but that was great film. Okay, what else? Second into the top 5 is Rush with Chris Hemsworth and some other people that I can't remember the names. It's basically Thor in Formula One. It's not. That was a fantastic film. Again, Chris Hemsworth really surprised me. Because, I've seen him in Snow White and the Huntsman, where his accent was a bit weird, and I've seen him in Thor, obviously, and Cabin in the Woods. But none of them have been kind of like real acting, what I would call real acting, where you actually play a serious part. Yeah, I think, yeah. And obviously this time he was playing someone who had actually lived and breathed, and so that must have been a bit more challenging, and he did a really good job. I mean, I don't know who are up for Oscars and stuff, but maybe, or the guy that played Niki Lauda, he was also really good in this as well. So again, Rush is the second into my top 5. Oh, these are tricky. Okay, going in at number 3 on my top 5 is Gravity. But on the condition that it's in 3D. I don't know if it would be as good in 2D as it is in 3D. But in 3D, it was possibly one of the best 3D films I've ever seen. I think it was kind of up there with Avatar. Avatar was like one of the first ones I saw in 3D, and it blew me away with how things kind of almost seemed to come out of the screen and then go back in and stuff like that. But and there hadn't been many films that had done that sort of thing since. But Gravity was just, it was so good, and like the depth perception on it as well, because it's 3D. There was the moments where you felt like you could just reach out and grab stuff and touch stuff, and that experience alone made the film so much better than it would have been if I'd watched it in 2D. So Gravity's going to go in. I think Sandra Bullock did a really good job in that role. Because most of the time when you think of Sandra Bullock, you think of kind of romantic comedies. Or I certainly do anyway. So to see her in a role where she was playing a serious role, and to be honest, most of the film is just her, and she manages to carry it really well. So credit to her, she did a really good job. So Gravity is my third entry into my top 5. Okay, so what's going to be number 4? What is number 4 in the list? We've had that one. I think it's going to be those two. It's going to be 4 and 5. Oh no. Can we make it 6? Okay. I've got 3 that I want to put in, and I can't because I've only got 2 spaces. Pooh. I've messed this up, haven't I, royally? Tell you what, I'm just going to put them all in. It's going to be my top 7. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to be my top 7. Sod it. Top 7 films of 2013. Because 2 times 7 is 14, and next year is 2014. So well, it works, doesn't it? Doesn't that work? Sure it does. Okay. So number 4 in the top 7 is The World's End. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, directed by Edgar Wright. The third part of the 3 Cornetto Flavors trilogy thing. And it was really good. I really liked it. Not what I was expecting, and it was funny, and it was clever, and it was everything that I wanted from a film by those guys, basically. It had heart, and it had action, and Nick Frost being a total badass, which is not something that I would have expected to see, because he's quite often, I just look at him and just think he's a big teddy bear. So to see him just suddenly start like getting really violent and stuff and just beating the crap out of things was pretty awesome, I must admit. I was very impressed. So this The World's End is going to be my number 4. My number 5 is going to be Despicable Me 2. And you might be thinking, really? Really? Yes, really. It was hilarious. I think what the people that made the film, was it Pixar? Was it DreamWorks? I forget. But I realise that they've obviously seen the reaction to the Minions from the first one and thought, right, we need to put more Minions in because people love them. And they'd be right. And it was so funny. It was so funny. It's odd to me to go and see a film like a comedy at the cinema. It's not very often that I would go to see a comedy at the cinema. And when there are humorous things going on in films, I generally don't hear many other people laughing. You do occasionally, but not very often. And Despicable Me 2, people were laughing all the way through. It was so good, and obviously it's aimed at kids. But it's I don't know anyone that didn't come out of seeing Despicable Me 2, or in fact the first one, who doesn't want their own minions. That would be awesome, because you'd be forever entertained, if nothing else. Even if you weren't planning on to take over the world and become a master criminal, and invent lots of weird machinery and freeze rays. You could just let them do whatever they want, and you'd just be chuckling to yourself like constantly, as long as you supplied them with bananas. So Despicable Me 2 is my number 5. Number 6 is The Butler, which has got a whole huge cast of really, really good actors. And I wasn't really sure if I'd like it, but because I saw the cast and I thought, well, how bad can it be when it's got this many people in the cast that are good, and you know they're good, then the film is likely to be good. And it was. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a toss-up between this and what other film was it? Oh, Lincoln. Because I really enjoyed Lincoln as well, but Lincoln was a little bit more difficult to watch because it seemed to go on for quite a long time, and it was a little slow in places. I mean, it was really good, but it didn't make my shortlist. And I did go through a list of about 300 films to whittle it down to these 7. So, and 7's a nice number. I like 7. But yes, The Butler was. I think I talked about it recently on a Sunday with Sparky because it was only out not too long ago. And it's about a family and the civil rights movement in America, and the father of this family is butler in the White House. He's one of the butlers, and so it's kind of weird because he has to listen to how the politicians at the time were talking about the situation and stuff like that. I just found it really interesting. As well as entertaining. And if you haven't seen it, then you should, because it's great. I don't even know if it's still out at the cinema anymore. Probably not. But when it comes out on DVD, you should watch it. So the last one that I'm going to put on my list of my top films of the year has got to be The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, because I loved it and it was great, and I want to go and see it again. So that's usually a good sign if I want to go and see a movie again. If it was good enough for me to see it again, then then it's obviously pretty good, or that I enjoyed it at least. Good in my opinion. Let's put it that way. You might not necessarily agree. You might think that all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films are a load of old rubbish, and that's fine if you want to think that. I just won't agree with you. I think they're great. I think they're awesome. And the elves in the second film were fantastic. The only problem I really had was that Legolas looked a bit odd. Obviously, Orlando Bloom is like 10 years or older now, or something, I think, than he was when he was making Lord of the Rings. So obviously there's going to be a bit of a difference. But I think he almost looks like he's got like a ton of fake tan on. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it was a bit odd. He looked a little strange. But he was still awesome. He was still cool as Legolas. It was very good. But I just generally found that The Hobbit has action and adventure, and it has heart, and it has tension, and it has suspense, and most importantly, because it's got all that stuff, it's also got humour and comedy in there as well. Even during action scenes, there is comedy, just to kind of lighten the mood, just for a moment or two, before plunging it back into the action and the oh my god. And I think that's really important that films do that, because otherwise you could come out. It'd be like Prisoners. You could, when I watch that, you come out and you kind of feel like you've been beaten up a little bit, emotionally beaten up, which is fine if that's what you want the movie to do. But Lord of the Rings isn't that sort of movie, or The Hobbit is not that sort of movie. You don't want it to feel emotionally beaten up. You want to know what's coming next, and you want to be excited, and which I am. So that's good. I kind of wanted to watch it again last night. I almost cracked out the Lord of the Rings extended edition box set. Almost. I'm managing to kind of keep it to like once a year watching those movies. Yeah, I've watched them pretty much once a year since I got the box set. It's pretty sad. So there you go. That's my top 7 films of 2013. Films I'm looking forward to next year has got to be Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America, the new Captain America, the Winter Soldier movie that comes out next year. And a whole bunch of other things that I cannot remember or think of because I've only literally just thought of it. But yeah, so that's that. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Sundays with Sparky. I wish you a very happy Christmas, Merry Christmas if you're celebrating it. If you're not celebrating Christmas but you're still having the festivities, then I hope you enjoy that. Don't eat too much, don't drink too much, but have a great time. You can never have too much of a great time. Regardless of what you're doing, stay safe, have a good one, and I shall see you next Sunday. And I guess that'll be in preparation for New Year's, so that'll be exciting. So maybe I'll do a games thing next week or something. Alright. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.